learned law officers, senior advocates, and members of the bar and president and EC of its quorum. Today we have assembled here to bid farewell to Honorable Mrs. Justice R. Banumathi. With this, I request Mr. Kailash Vasudev, Vice President, Supreme Court Bar Association, to deliver his welcome address.
Honorable Justice Banumathi, Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court, Judges from the High Court, our esteemed Mr. Venugopal, who is not only the Attorney General but the parents' patriarch to all of us, Mr. Tushar Mehta, my colleagues, my good friend, Mr. Dave, the President of our association, members of the Executive Committee, and all my friends and colleagues from the bar. When we congregate at a function like this to wish adieu to a judge who has been a judge since most of her life, it's an interesting paradox. From one side, we are recollecting all the good things, the excellent norms of justice, the principles on which Justice Banumathi worked, and on the other, we look forward to her going into her retirement with her family, away from the stress which most of us create in court. The judge's most difficult task is to put up with lawyers who have a tendency to argue everything, which the judge often finds to be irrelevant. In this, Justice Banumathi had a very, very powerful instinct. She knew when to separate the chaff from the grass. It even showed in her judgments. In a very frugal and in a very gentle way, in the recent past, she has been the greatest supporter to the younger members of our bar. She looked upon them as the young children who came to court for the purposes of delivering their little work and delivering it with aplomb without being in any way stopped. Justice Banumathi has the distinction of being a very frugal judge whose dedication to the law has been 100%. Since she joined us in 2014, we have had the pleasure of seeing her in the court without literally losing her temper or asking any one of us to kind of contain ourselves in our address. To have a judge who's willing to listen to arguments from both sides without interruption and with complete freedom of time is a very unique and a distinct opportunity we get today. For this, Justice Banumathi, on behalf of the bar, especially the younger bar, I thank you. As you now will proceed into your period of life where you have rendered so much public service, I'm sure that with you and your family, with your daughter Sridhya and your grandchildren, you will have a very pleasant time ahead. In this, I'm reminded of a small excerpt from the Bible, which comes in chapter 12, verse 66, where he says, "Have hope and be cheerful. Be patient in trials and pray constantly." This is our prayer for you and our sincere good wish that you will keep well and we will be in touch with you in all that you do. This bar is with you all the time and we would look forward to anything we can do for you at any point of time. Thank you. I'm grateful.
Now I request Mr. K.K. Venugopal, learned Attorney General for India, to deliver his address.
Friends, I think this is indeed a sad occasion because one of our very good judges is parting company with us. Now, I had in the morning said a few things about the learned judge, but I am repeating it because neither Dushant Dave nor neither Kailash Vasudev were present, even though the Chief Justice looked around and asked for him.
Lord, so may I just come in? We were there and we were suddenly taken off the webinar.
Really?
Yes. On 3 occasions I logged in, on 3 occasions I was taken off.
I told him that I had seen Kailash Vasudev there and I had told him that. Therefore, perhaps he too understood that. Therefore, there is no problem. All of us were happy. Now, we are losing a very good judge, and this went at the age of 32, she became a district judge, and then a great record. And then 32 years later, she came to the Supreme Court. As a district judge, she had some great judgments to her credit. And I had mentioned where a Baba, Swamiji, who called himself a Swamiji, Ramananda, had raped 15 girls or women, and had also murdered a person. And she did not hesitate to give him 2 terms of imprisonment for a total of 32 years, and also fined the Baba, as he called himself, for 67 lakhs of rupees, 5 lakhs to be given to each one of the victims. Now that was a judgment which was welcomed all over the state of Tamil Nadu. People celebrated, gave sweets to each other, and therefore she made a name for herself as a very, very powerful judge even at that time. Later, coming to the High Court, and Jallikattu. Now, I'm sorry to say that Jallikattu is where bulls are sought to be taken, who feed the bulls with liquor, and they themselves perhaps drink liquor. Otherwise, they don't know why they should embark upon this. Every year, 3 to 4 persons die. Young men who believe they are warriors, but are not really so. And the result is she banned it. But unfortunately, the Supreme Court, one of the former Chief Justices, lifted this ban. And today I see reports in the newspapers saying 1 has died, 2 have died, and so on. And this is rather tragic. Later, she had to deal with the Nirmaya case. And of course, we know as to what has happened in that case. The death sentence has been carried out and so on. Now, I had the privilege of sitting with her on a committee which went into the question of the harassment, by sexual harassment, by a judge of the of the High Court of Madhya Pradesh, and who had, according to the complainant, harassed a woman judge of the district level. And the judgment which was delivered by all of us was that unless it was proved beyond doubt, and whatever may be the doubts, one would not be able to impeach the judge, impeach the judge. But at the same time, in her large-heartedness, she insisted that so far as the High Court is concerned, they should consider reinstating her fully, because she had been transferred illegally. That was something which had been neutralized. I'm glad to say that a judgment was delivered, orders were passed by a bench of this court. We directed the High Court to again consider being reinstated with back wages. I hope that is done, and that will be a great thing if it is done. Now we are losing a good judge, a great judge, and therefore all that I can say is, bon voyage. I know you love your family, and you have spoken about your grandchild who rings you up, the little girl who rings you up all the way from Chennai. And therefore, I'm sure you will be having an excellent time. But I hope you come back to the legal work by taking up arbitrations where we need excellent judges like Justice Banumathi. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I now request Mr. Dushyant Dave, President Supreme Court Bar Association, to deliver his address.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this farewell function on behalf of the Supreme Court Bar Association, the Executive Committee, and myself. I have the privilege and pleasure to invite you all to be here to bid farewell to one of our very loved judges, Justice Mrs. R. Banumathi. I welcome all the honorable judges of the Supreme Court, Justices Ramna, Justice Bhushan, Justice Reddy, Justice Gawai, Justice Suryakant, Justice Bose, Justice Chandrachud, Justice Malhotra, Justice Banerjee, Justice Rao, Justice Rastogi, Justice Mrs. Pratibha Singh, Justice Kaul, Justice Rajendran, Justice Mahadevan, Justice Jayachandran, and former Judge Justice Ramamurthy. All of you are with us. I also welcome the distinguished Attorney General of India, Mr. K.K. Venugopal, who never stops to surprise us with his energy and his continued support to the bar and the cause of the bar. I express my gratitude to him. We also welcome Mr. Tushar Mehta, the Solicitor General of India, and we are delighted that he is with us. My executive committee is here. I am delighted that every member of the executive committee is here to bid farewell to you, Justice Banumathi. I thank Vice President Kailash Vasudev, Acting Secretary Mr. Rohit Pandey, and all my colleagues in the executive committee. But most of all, I thank hundreds of members of the SCBA who are present today on this occasion to bid virtual farewell to you, Judge. And it's really a great pleasure and privilege that we are here together to say a few words for your departure. My ladyship, I must confess that court will have a serious vacuum without you. And it would be very difficult for the collegium to fill it up. The bar will be, of course, at a greater loss. For in you, it had found an independent, hardworking judge who, though had a strong mind, but was always open to listening. Your judicial approach was conservative, but yet your sense of justice was very strong. If I may summarize in the words of the Restatement of Judicial Life, a much forgotten resolution adopted by the full court of the Supreme Court on 7th May 1997, Justice Banumathi is an epitome, an embodiment of, amongst others, two salutary principles which were adopted. One, a judge should practice a degree of aloofness consistent with the dignity of his office. And two, every judge must at all times be conscious that he is under public gaze and that there should be no act or omission by him which is unbecoming of the high office he occupies and the public esteem in which that office is held. Justice Banumathi really lived by this principle. We must remember that bedrock of our democracy is the rule of law. And that means we have to have an independent judiciary, judges who can make decisions independent of the political winds that are blowing. Justice Banumathi, we found a judge who really was fiercely independent. And the fact that you gave so many dissenting opinions, dissenting not only from your senior judges, but your sitting chief justices, is a clear indication of your independent mind. And we respect you for that. Your service to the nation will be remembered because you have served judiciary and the nation for 32 long years. And you have delivered some amazing decisions which are very, very important. But besides being a judge, simpliciter, you have made tremendous contribution on the administration of justice, which needs special mention. Be it as director training for civil judges, be it as a member and later president of the Tamil Nadu State Judicial Academy, and as chairman of the district and state legal aid committees of Tamil Nadu, you contributed immensely. You recognized and advocated in a paper, Social Economic Revolution, Agenda of the Constitution, and authored interesting books. Three of them are very relevant: Effective District Administration and Court Management, Court Staff and Registers and Legal Procedures, and third most important, Handbook of Civil and Criminal Courts, Management and Use of Computers. This was really prophetic because this was many years before computers really came into our life. All these tell about your commitment to administration of justice. And the bar, I must say on behalf of the SCBA, that we are really grateful the way you treated the members of the bar, the affection that you showered on us, even while being firm with us in your decision making. You always listen to us, and especially the younger members of the bar, whom you always treated with utmost respect and utmost regard and kindness. My ladyship, At this stage, if I can take liberty to slightly deviate, I must say from this platform that this bar has also made immense contribution to the administration of justice. Be it the judges' case on appointments and transfers of judges to the Supreme Court and High Courts, and all my lords and ladyships are here after that judgment. Be it the protecting the dignity of subordinate judiciary as done in Judge Nalin Patel's case. Be it getting Pragati Maidan land for the Supreme Court on which the new complex stands, or even service to All India Judicial Service, or even to All India Judicial Service and its development. The bar in the Supreme Court has played positive and supportive role to the bench. It is, we must remember that, even in a country like Pakistan, when Chief Justice Iftikhar Chaudhry was removed, it was the bar which in entire Pakistan stood in one voice and ensured that even a dictator was forced to bring back Chief Justice Iftikhar Chaudhry. And of course, the bench of the Supreme Court of Pakistan played also a very powerful role in that. But what I am trying to respectfully urge is that we are one family. And you have always treated us as part of that family, which is extremely significant and important on this day for us to remember. I must say, however, with some amount of sadness as to why I am mentioning this contribution by the bar of the Supreme Court, because it's not nice to speak about one's own work, nor is it nice to speak about one's help to somebody else. But today, my ladyship, and of course, all the lordships who are present here, the bar is standing alone, not being supported or cared for by the bench. It is clear that the court has left the bar to fend for itself. COVID-19 is the greatest challenge to humanity in one's life. One author has described the present times in following words, and he says, I quote, "We are all dying. That is the condition of living today," unquote. Everyone needs to be cared for, my lords, but by someone. We are also dependent on others. The lawyers, especially members of the SCBA, are dependent greatly on the institution which they love and respect and admire. Members of the bar are suffering immensely. We have had some unfortunate suicides of young lawyers, including 2 lady lawyers in last 1 week. We have had serious financial problems for many members. The SCBA, the executive committee, and many generous members of the bar who have come forward are trying to help these members. We have helped hundreds of them, but many hundreds more are waiting in line. Our resources are limited. We are unable to really help beyond offering paltry little sums to these members of the bar whose families are suffering, whose clerks are suffering, whose families are suffering. There are thousands of people who are dependent on this institution for their survival. And it is becoming extremely difficult for us in the association to really do anything more than what we believe. That solution lies in the hands of the Supreme Court and the honorable judges. They must find it by talking to the stakeholders. And SCBA is one of the most important stakeholders in this regard. But so far, no branch, much less an olive branch, has been extended to the SCBA on its members. We believe that considering the health and well-being of all, a just balance must be found to have virtual and physical courts side by side. If this does not happen soon, damage to the well-being of these thousands of people will be irreversible. Please do remember, and we cannot forget this, that even in COVID-19, every day, in every street of India, whether in a village or a district town or a city, every Safai Karamchari comes every morning and cleans the streets. In every one of those streets, every policeman stands for guarding us and ensuring rule of law. Every doctor, every nurse is attending their duties. There are doctors and nurses who have spent some hundreds of days in their hospitals without any interruptions away from their families. And it is therefore absolutely necessary for us to realize that we as an institution are a service provider institution. I am not willing to accept the argument which one of the Honorable High Court has now taken, that the law justice delivery is not an essential service to the society. In fact, if justice stops, which it has virtually, then the society's well-being stops. Because if rule of law is not maintained in the society, then I think that society will have serious problems. I therefore beseech and plead with you, my ladyship, on your way out to see that we can really do something to restart the institution. Because besides us, I have only spoken selfishly about us, the lawyers and the clerks, but there are thousands of litigants who are reaching out to me and my colleagues in the executive committee on a daily basis. They are waiting for their pensions. They are waiting for their wages. They are waiting for their jobs. They are waiting for their properties. They are waiting to be taken out of jail. They are waiting for their liberties. They are waiting in every which way to get some justice from your lordship's court. And we are today unable to do that. So it's really something, to my mind, we have to now understand and perhaps redefine Article 21, that justice is life. And if we treat it like that, then it is time for us to really rethink. We must have a dialogue. I must say, with some amount of disappointment, that despite repeated pleadings with the Honorable Chief Justice of India, we have not got any positive response to start the dialogue. We have some solutions. We have worked those solutions. My team and many members of the association have spent hundreds of man-hours in finding solutions. We have offered them to the Supreme Court. And we respectfully urge that those solutions must be examined and if found proper, after debate, must be accepted immediately. Because the present video hearing, which are taking place in the Supreme Court, we all know are far from satisfactory. We know that judges are working hard. We know that. We know the Supreme Court staff is working hard. We also are conscious that many members of the Supreme Court staff have contracted COVID-19. We all wish them good health and speedy recovery. But that should not detract us from really restarting the engine of justice as fast and as strongly. We must start breathing again. And if we don't do that, we will have very serious issues to my mind. But keeping that aside, I'm sorry that I digressed, but this is something which is really troubling me. I must confess that I am in a serious turmoil from within. And every member of my executive committee is spending sleepless nights on these issues. Every day we discuss, we debate. We are completely at our wits' end because we don't know what to do. Unless the response comes from the court, from the honorable judges, we are unable to really make any progress and do something in this regard. So this is the reason why I thought that let me, forgetting all that for a moment, my ladyship, I must say one thing, that in you, the bar found somebody who was really a friend. And today when you are leaving us, we are really feeling quite sad. Fortunately, as you mentioned to me, that you are not going to leave Delhi, and I hope you live up to that promise. I believe that you will perhaps join us, maybe in the field of arbitration, and be part of us. But we would be very happy to have you in Delhi, and we would be very happy to interact with you in future. And we would wish you lots of good luck in your life. We would wish you lots of happiness and bliss, and we would wish you lots of success in your new career if you embark on that career in the field of arbitration. So may God always bless you. Thank you very, very much on behalf of every member of the SCBA, the Executive Committee and myself. I once again thank you, and I wish you lots of happiness. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Jishan sir. Now I request Honorable Mrs. Justice R. Banumathi to deliver her address.
Thank you very much. Very good. Just a minute on. I think I'm audible. I'm audible to everyone.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Brother and sister judges, the Supreme Court. My brother and sister judges from Madras High Court and also from Delhi High Court. Mr. Dushyant Dave, President SCBA. Mr. Kailash Vasudev, Vice President SCBA. the learned Attorney General, Mr. Solicitor General, senior advocates, young members of the bar who are connected to this. I see from the system that mostly about more than 500 have been joined. I'm very thankful to all of you for sparing some time on a Friday evening, and especially when it is raining outside, and sharing some good thoughts, good words about me. Thank you very much, all of you. Though for quite some time, for about some 2 or 3 functions, we have not had this kind of speeches. I thought, considering my situation, I thought that it is time that I need to say something, because I served the institution for more than 3.5 years, 3.5 decades. Today morning, when I was talking to my brother and sister judges, I was sharing something about my personal thing. That is, I was born in a very small remote village in a backward district in the district Krishnagiri, which was the erstwhile district in Salem in the state of Tamil Nadu. I lost my father Ramasamy in a bus accident when I was at the age of 2 years. In those days, we had to file only a suit for claiming compensation. My mother also filed a compensation claim, a suit. The court has also passed the decree. But we could not get the compensation amount due to the complicated procedures and the lack of proper assistance, legal assistance to my mother. She had no support from her relatives also. Myself, my widowed mother, and my 2 sisters, we are victims of court delay and its procedural rankles. Actually, we did not get the compensation till the last day, till at any point of time. So we suffered in the life. Though I am a Hindu, I have faith in the gospel of Jesus. By the grace of Jesus Christ, I got educated and came up in life. I entered into Tamil Nadu Higher Judicial Service at the age of 33.5 years in the year 1988, and served the institution for over 3 decades. During my judicial service, there were mountains of obstacles at various stages for no reason, or there was no basis for those obstacles. Yet, no human hand could prevent what Jesus Christ has ordained for me in my life. I have served the judiciary right from district judiciary up to Supreme Court for more than 3.5 decades. 3 decades. The infrastructure now available, especially the digital infrastructure, were not available when I entered the judicial service in 1988. In the present day, everybody speaks of pendency of cases, backlog of cases, and also they pass a lot of comments saying that these things, the pendency of cases affect the economy of the nation, and that they are also affecting the commercial litigations, etc. But I want to strike a positive note. Various initiatives have been taken by the central government, state governments, and the judiciary to bring more efficiency to the system by creation of new courts, bringing amendments to the law. You can take up for example, you can take the Amendment to Arbitration and Conciliation Act, enactment of various legislations like commercial codes, insolvency and bankruptcy code, and other enactments, increasing the strength of the judges in the High Court and in the Supreme Court, constitution of various tribunals, and other initiatives are taken which are aimed at bringing in more efficiency and ensuring delivery of justice within reasonable time, and also enhancing the efficiency of the system. The Information, Communication and Technology Enablement e-courts project has brought in to the system sweeping changes, I can say. With the implementation of the e-courts project from the highest court to the taluka courts, and with the availability of number of citizen-centric services to lawyers, litigants, public, like availability of the cost list, case status, copy of judgments and orders available online, they are all now just at a click of the mouse. SMS push, SMS pull, sending judgments and orders through emails to the registered users payment, e-payments, N-steps in service of summons, mobile apps are all the digital arms for enhancing the transparency of the court system and judicial excellence. These were not available when I entered in the service, or even in the last decade also you can say that these were not available. Likewise, aggregated data available on the National Judicial Data Grid, NJDG, greatly facilitates the judiciary, the government, planners, and other stakeholders to have access to the aggregated data and plan and take appropriate decisions for planning. With the era of globalization, nature of litigation is now constantly evolving. In the sense, law is expanding in all the spheres. From the traditional litigations like property dispute, succession, matrimonial matters, we are moving towards commercial litigations. Flow of foreign direct investment and public-private partnerships have given rise to new kinds of litigations. The lawyers must be a reservoir of knowledge and equip themselves in emerging areas and smart use of technology. I impress upon all the lawyers, in particular the young lawyers, that they must develop the constant habit of reading and equipping themselves all throughout their life. I can say that world is no longer round. Its world is now flat because of the transaction of the idea, transformation of the ideas and flow of people across the globe and the various information technology now available. I can say that the world is now flat and we need to face the challenges in the coming years. My praises and glory to Lord Jesus Christ, who has exalted me to this position from my humble background and led me all throughout my life, that I may bear witness to him. I remember my late widowed mother Lakshmi Devi, who, in spite of her difficult situation, chose to educate her daughters and always inspired me and also my sisters to take up any responsibilities and trained us for tremendous hard work. Actually, this training which we have taken from my mother has helped me throughout my service in taking up any responsibilities and rendering justice then and there. My sincere thanks to my husband K. Ganesan, who is a lawyer in the official courts in the state of Tamil Nadu, who has encouraged me to take up law and pursue legal profession. My husband is a person of highest integrity and he was of unwavering support throughout my life. He remained as a pillar of support in supporting me to maintain my honesty and integrity throughout my service. My sincere gratitude to my sisters, R. Bhuvaneswari and R. Kanchana, both of whom made lifetime sacrifices to support me in all my endeavors and always stood by me in my difficult times. They are also connected. I am very happy to say that because of this virtual farewell, they are also connected to this system. My thanks goes to my daughter, my son-in-law, my grandson, and my niece, who is in abroad, and she is also connected to this, who were always supportive in all my efforts. My family members are the invisible pillars in all my endeavors in my life. I am ever grateful to all of them. I am grateful to all my brother and sister judges of the Supreme Court. I shared a lot of knowledge and their wisdom whenever my brother and sister judges sat with me. I also thank all the judges with whom I work in the state of Tamil Nadu and Jharkhand. I sincerely thank the members of the Supreme Court Bar Association and all the lawyers of the Supreme Court. I must place on record that all the lawyers of the Supreme Court very well cooperated whenever they appeared before me in the Supreme Court. My court, everybody was ready. I do not know how, everybody was ready. All the advocates who appeared in my court came very thoroughly prepared and they tried to brought out their best while appearing before me. No words to explain how much they were all ready to argue before me. At this juncture, it is necessary for me to say that if any words uttered by me from the bench has hurt anybody, Please do not take it to the heart. I never intended to hurt anyone. Probably I wanted to encourage it, and probably I would have raised my voice at that time, encouraging and making you to learn something. Other than that, I had no intention to hurt anyone. I also fondly remember all the members of the bar in the Madras High Court and Madurai bench and various districts, Coimbatore, Vellore, Tirunelveli and Pudukkottai and Chennai, where I worked as a district judge in the state of Tamil Nadu. All the bar members, by their thorough preparation, in turn equipped me in various branches. I am ever grateful to all the bar members. I also remember the cooperation of the bar members of the Jharkhand High Court. I thank all the registrars, additional registrars and the deputy registrars of the Supreme Court, and the library staff and all the staff members of the registry of the Supreme Court who have rendered all support and the cooperation. I thank all the senior personal assistants who were attached to me in my home office. I sincerely thank all the personal attendants who were attached to me in my house and also the driver. I need to place on record that all of them have dedicated themselves to take care of all my requirements while I was staying in Delhi. I thank all the law clerks who are associated with me over these years. I also fondly remember all the staff members of the Madras High Court and Madurai bench and staff members of the Jharkhand High Court and all the staff members of the various districts in Tamil Nadu where I worked as a district judge. I thank the members of the media and press attached to the press room of the Supreme Court. All of them were very diligent and sincere in reporting the orders of the Supreme Court. I need to state that they were very much disciplined while being present in the court for making reports. They have been repeatedly present in my court at the time of Nirbhaya matter. I'd like to place on record that they were very much disciplined and always maintained perfect silence whenever they appeared in the court. I thank all the media and the press people attached to the Supreme Court. 3 decades of my pilgrimage endeavor was a journey of hard work and performance. I always ensured that my conscience was as clear as needle to the pole. I like to say that I demit the office with immense satisfaction of having performed my duties true to the work and to the best of my ability. As the president of the SCBA, Senior Counsel Dushyant Dave was pointing out, these are very difficult days. Very, very difficult days. Bar members across the country are suffering a lot. Actually, I learned a lot from the Tamil Nadu bar members that all of them are suffering, and some of them have also not driven to the extreme steps also. Whenever I talk to the Bar Council members, I try to impress them to extend their monetary support. But no, this can only be a small pittance amount. But Senior Counsel Dave was saying that we'll have to open the physical court. It is for the committee of the judges to take a decision in this. But we must wait for some time, because more than appearance, we think that we must understand that it is more of a life concern, because no, COVID-19 is a very, very dangerous pandemic and very fatal also. So we need to wait for some more time. Let us hope and pray that some vaccine is developed, and we are hearing some good news also. Let us all collectively pray for the nation, that the India has to come out of the difficult situation and that the situation should become normal. I sincerely pray for the well-being, peace and prosperity of the members of SCBA and each and every one of you who are connected to this link and their family members. Let me again wish and hope all of you know a peace and prosperous life and a commendable life in the profession. Thank you very much all of you for sparing some time on this Friday evening and then bidding me farewell. I thank you very much. I enjoyed each and every moment of the time while I worked in the Supreme Court. Thank you very much, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies. Mr. Dushyant Dave wants to say a few words.
So I thank you very much, my ladyship. It's been quite a privilege and an honor to hear your personal experience about which we were completely unaware. So it's something really eye-opening, and it will be a great, I would say, a source of encouragement. Thousands of young lawyers, men and women, who come from all parts of India and who come from all sections of the cross section of the society. That if somebody, despite such adversity, can rise up to the level that you have risen, then you certainly will be a great role model for them. And I really thank you very much for sharing your personal experience, sharing your feelings, and sharing your anxieties and your wisdom. I think my members of the SCBA will be eternally grateful to you for these words of wisdom and this frank discussion that we had with you. Thank you very, very much. Once again, I thank you so much. Over to you, Rohit.
Thank you, sir. We are fortunate to have received a message for the bar from Honorable Mrs. Justice R. Banumathi. I would like to take the liberty to read the same. Judiciary holds a central stage in promoting and strengthening the democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. Judges and lawyers who work in the institution must be men and women of high integrity, courage, ethical firmness, and dedicated to the cause of justice, and to stand by the constitutional values. In the Sermon on the Mount, Lord Jesus Christ said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." The members of the Supreme Court Bar Association always endeavor to work for cause of justice and righteousness. I wish and pray that all the members of SCBA and their family members be filled with God's grace, peace, and prosperity, and have a commendable life. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such kind words. Proposing a vote of thanks at a function, both felicitating a judge and wishing her well on demeaning office as a judge of Supreme Court is a mixed task. On the one hand, we recall the enormous responsibility discharged while holding office of the most important limb of our democracy. On the other hand, we wish the person will well on demeaning office and moving into a space of life which necessarily follows on completion of a tenure. This evening we have had a pleasure of hearing our Honorable Mrs. Justice R. Banumathi and learned Attorney General for India narrating and fondly recalling their experience in the many decades for their association with this fantastic profession. Honorable Mrs. Justice R. Banumathi has recounted at times from her humble beginnings to adorning an august position as a member of this historic court. We thank you. I thank our President, Mr. Dusen Dave, and Mr. Kailash Vasudev, Vice President, for presenting their thoughts on this occasion. In making this evening possible, one cannot but mention the enormous assistance given to us for managing and controlling the virtual web presentation. I owe an special thanks to Mr. Nime Dave for this. As a function draw to close, on behalf of my colleagues, members, and friends of this fraternity, we wish Honorable Mr. Justice R. Banumathi pleasant times, good health, enjoyable times with your daughter, who has been your absolute support. I wish you Godspeed in all that you do. May the Lord peace himself give you his peace at all times and in every situation. May the Lord be with you. Thank you so much.
You are now concluding. We can now conclude the farewell function, and thank you all on behalf of the SCBA for being with us. It's been a great evening. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge, and we wish you all the best.
Justice
All
Rajendran
the best.
Roy, Thank you, all of you. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Justice Banumathi.